Hello, it's Nicky and welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad so many of you are loving the interviews and thank you so much for sharing, rating and reviewing. I so appreciate it. Anyway, I wanted to continue the conversation of success. So often we hear the extremes, don't we, of rags to riches, homeless to billionaire, sleeping on a random sofa to a blinged up palace. But what about the in-between bits? I know personally I have had many. How do you get from A to Z? But also, how do you get from A to B or F to M? In these mini episodes, I want to provide questions to ponder, ideas that might spark a brainstorm, or raise topics that might be a little bit uncomfortable in the moment, but they will support you to go to the next level of your business. As always, please come over to social media at Nicky Raby, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and breakthroughs. Today, I want to talk about age. As a child, I always wanted to be older. I found it so frustrating that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And it turns out the school system really wants you to stay there between the hours of 9 and 3. I would see auditions advertised on Blue Peter and casually drop in the conversation to my parents that I could easily get on the train to London by myself and I could be exactly what they were looking for. I spent many Saturday afternoons hovering around the kitchen whilst my mum did the ironing, inhaling every part of the Brookside omnibus. In the beginning, there was a mutter of, I don't think this is suitable, but quickly it became part of our conversations. A perfected Scouse accent welcomed many opportunities in my acting career. Are you from Liverpool? Nah, I just watched a lot of Brookside, I would reply. As kids, we were all told the phrase, when you're older, you... And as a proactive kid with an entrepreneurial spirit, even then, I didn't want to go all Veruca Salt, as we all know what happened to her, but I kind of did want it now. When I turned 7, I basically thought I'd made it. I remember being absolutely thrilled to be 7. It was my favourite number after all. It felt so much like more sassier than 6. And who wants to be 6 anyway? Losers! And then double figures is a biggie, isn't it? That's often when your parents have the dawning that the hormones are going to come out to play very soon. Being 14 was a fairly bleak time. Everything was out of sync. I felt like I was on a physical, emotional, mental waltzer. And even though it would have been cool to scream if I wanted to go faster, in fact, all I wanted to do was to cry to my mum that I wanted to be 7 again. Being 7 was so much simpler. Plus, I had a shell suit then, and we all know how ace they were. At 16, I found my mojo. I was starting to get closer to the big dreams that I'd said aloud to myself when I was wanging around on my bike. I used to interview people and be interviewed whilst I sat on the loo. Funny now to think that I have a podcast. Although I don't operate from the toilet, I promise. I promise! However, at this age, I had a less than healthy relationship with food and exercise. I was the thinnest I'd ever been, and bizarrely the most popular, but definitely not the soundest. Despite heroin chic telling me I needed to look bony and droopy, my naturally curvy body was crying out for some solid carbs or just a plateful of normal grub. The big birthdays of 18 and 21 were hectic, and even though Clinton cards told me I was an adult and a beer monster, way, I still had so many unanswered questions. And I guess this is the point of the post. Even though we were told we should feel or act in a certain way at particular ages, we may just feel the same, or something different, or not defined by our age in the slightest. And I'm telling you now, if you catch me wearing I'm 40 and fabulous t-shirt in a few years' time, please remove me from the building. I kind of want to be my own version of fabulous at any age. And even if this is watching MasterChef on the sofa with my man pal in some kind of brushed cotton oversized Jimmy Jams, I'm all for that. And I want that for you too. A friend of mine had a brand new car for her 17th birthday, with a personalised number plate no less. and I had a shit ton of spirits, and I was given a fireman's lift up Doncaster Road. My evening ended early, and my mum showed me into the people carrier with the force of a mother of a bride at a gypsy wedding. However, despite not knowing my alcohol limits, or rather perhaps knowing them but ignoring them, I did have a strong head on my shoulders. I knew what I wanted and I went for it. I was free-spirited, bold, opinionated and fearless. I wish my 17-year-old self had been there to protect my 33-year-old self, who was broken, sleep-deprived, vulnerable, and trying to figure out how to be a good mother. Oh, the pressure I put on myself. I'm now approaching that midway point in my life. I spent 18 years living at home, and now 18 years living in London, unsupervised, well, in person. It can be easy to think about all the things that haven't happened yet. I don't own my dream 5-bedroom house on my favourite leafy street in North London yet, and yes, I can describe it in detail. I haven't been to LA yet and starred in a blockbuster film. I haven't found the perfectly heeled boot that is not only comfortable, sharp, but a bit battered in a rock and roll way, but also makes me look like I have legs like Elle Macpherson. If I'm honest, I thought I would be a lot further on by now, whatever that means. But then I hear Oprah speaking to me, as she often does. I mean, I can't remember phone numbers of my nearest and dearest, but I can remember golden nuggets that she shared. She loves a gratitude list, doesn't she? And if I think about it, my life is rich and full and abundant and supported and has a whole lot of love in it. I have options and choices and a sense of everything is figure-outable, like Marie Forleo taught me. So often we can get that sense and that pressure that we're behind. We're not where we should be. So many of my clients fear that it's too late to make a change, too late for risk, too late to admit what they really want. I spoke on Instagram about emerging privately. Over the last few weeks, the podcast, the one that you're listening to, has taken on a new pace. And we're now in every continent across the world with thousands of plays per month. And we're aiming to reach 1 million plays by Christmas. We launched in the middle of January, but the idea had been cooking for 3 to 4 years. I used to drive for nearly 10 hours a week to go to work, not just for jokes, and I used to listen to so many to help me pass the time. The picture that I shared was taken towards the end of 2015. It's one of me and my little pal cuddling. We used to do this for hours, and he was so cuddly as a baba, unfortunately he still is. And even though motherhood gave me a new lease of creativity, passion and ambition, I had to be patient, because let's not jazz things up. I had to focus on the money-making activities, not the ones that were going to pay me in a year or two, but the ones that would pay my immediate bills and buy the food that would provide the 500 calories approximately that I needed to feed. Even then we did mixed feeding. Sometimes it isn't the right time to press publish. So, with the podcast, I focused on what I could do in that moment. I wrote ideas down, I listened to other podcasts, I questioned what I was missing, what I was craving. And of course, it's tempting to emulate others, but for me, it always has to feel good. I have to be able to connect with it. As an actor, of course, I play different characters that are so far removed from me, but I always have to find a commonality, an empathy and a love for them. Sometimes emerging isn't emerging publicly. It's simply making a decision to emerge privately and to start to take the steps forward. My glamorous, vivacious, strong-minded Nana goes to Hong Kong and Thailand every year for Christmas. I won't say her age because I know for a fact she lies about it, even to her closest friends. But you can do the maths. Basically, I want to illustrate the point that you can do what you want to do, in your way, at your pace, and in a way that feels good. Please don't try and follow someone else's bucket list. It's pointless and potentially terrifying, especially if they have something ridiculous like potholing on it. And my heart is just racing just thinking about that. To finish, write down what is in your head. The ideas, the thoughts, the, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if moments. Notice what you're drawn to, what you continually watch or how you spend your time. What are your secrets that you haven't told anybody yet? So often at the end of my coaching sessions, my client will take a huge exhale and say, phew, it feels really good to share that. I've never told anyone that before, which always baffles me and equally excites me as I can see how much it's making their heart sing. Please know you don't have to know everything or do everything at once. Your job is to know what you want, your values, what's important to you, how you want to spend your time, and what success means to you. Once you know that and have that as your foundation to guide your decisions, everything becomes easier. And I can help you with this one-to-one if you want extra support. Details are on my website. But please never let yourself be satisfied with, well, that ship has probably sailed, or, well, we'll wait and see, or shrug despondently when somebody asks you what's going on with you then. Please make you a priority. You are important. You're ready right now, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for listening as always. If you do want to rate and review and subscribe over on iTunes or even share it with a friend, I would love it. Thank you so much for your support. If you want to find out more about me and how we can work together, please go to nickyraby.com or connect with me across social media at Nicky Raby. I'll see you soon. Bye.